This is the training video for SMTC 22 TOC TN PPB. Now I'll begin the training. Please note the following sample requirements. We only allow a maximum MPOC, TOC, TN of 1000 ppb. For samples with higher concentration, please run it on the ppm machine. This equipment requires 40 ml vials and a minimum of 30 ml per sample. All samples should be filtered before analysis. The salt content of the sample should be less than 0.1 weight%. If you need to run seawater samples, you will need to dilute at least 5 times. Next, this is the overview of the hardware. There is the PC, TOC main unit, and autosampler, also known as ASI. Next, we'll proceed to the pre-checks before analysis. This is the cylinder for PPB TOC. It's a zero air cylinder. This is high purity air, which is required because of the high sensitivity of the PPB TOC machine. If the tank is empty, please email me and let me know that you have changed the tank, such that I can order a replacement. This is to ensure that there is always a full tank in the SMTC gas cylinder room. Ensure that the pressure supplied to the equipment is at 2 bar. When you are changing the tank, please do not adjust the gauge. Pressure supplied to the equipment should be at 2 bar. When the tank is left with about 10 bars, it's still sufficient to run overnight. The gauge on the left shows the pressure supplied to the equipment at 2 bar. The gauge on the right shows the amount of air left in the tank. After ensuring that the air supply to the equipment is on, please turn on the machine. Press the power button. Once you press the power button, you can start to hear the equipment running. After that, proceed to the PC. Software is TOCL Sample Editor. Double-click on it. Click OK. Under Sample Table tab, check if today's date is displayed. If it isn't, click on New. Click OK. A new untitled sample table will be generated. Click Save. A file name with today's date will be generated. Do not edit or rename the sample table. Click Save. You can see that the sample table tab has been updated with the new sample table. Click Connect. The window will close once it has connected successfully. Now, we will proceed with the rest of the pre-checks. This is the rinsing bottle. The molecule water inside the bottle is used to rinse the lines in between your samples. Thus, it is important to change the molecule each time you are running samples. This is because the molecule that has been here for too long will have carbon dioxide dissolved in it. The inherent inorganic carbon values in the molecule will be very high. If the high IC molecule is used to rinse the lines, it may affect your results. Next, this is the drain bottle, the one with the black cap. You'll need to top it up with molecule water. The water level has to be higher than the tubing on the right side of the bottle. To top up the drain bottle, point the squeeze bottle to the opening at the middle of the cap. Once the water level is high enough, anything in excess will drain off from the tubing on the right side. Next, check that reagents for the analysis is sufficient. The first one is 25% phosphoric acid, second one is 2 molar hydrochloric acid. Both bottles should be at least 1/3 full. For the PPB machine, we are mostly using the MPOC method. For this method, we are only using the HCl. Phosphoric acid is required for the usual TOC measurement. Later, I will explain more about the TOC and MPOC method and the differences between the two. Bottles for the two reagents can be found in the SMTC's acid cabinet. The following pictures show how the bottles look like. Now, this is the dilution bottle. You can ask the equipment to perform dilution for you from 2 times up to 50 times. If you prefer to dilute manually, you can ignore the dilution bottle. However, if you require equipment to perform the dilution, you have to replace the molecule water inside the bottle. This is because there's not much users using the dilution function. Thus, the molecule water could have been here for an extended period of time. This leads to high IC values in samples if this molecule was used for dilution. Next, open the door of the main unit and check the IC reaction vessel inside the unit. It should be bubbling once the software has been connected to the equipment. If it's bubbling, it indicates that it is a closed system. If there was a major crack on the combustion tube inside the furnace, there will be a leakage of air and there will not be any bubbling here. Next, this is the humidifier bottle. It is to humidify the gas before it goes to the detector. Check that the water level is up to high. If not, please top it up. Remove the cap carefully. Be careful of all the tubings around the bottle. Top up molecule till high level. When you are done, please remember to replace the cap. Next, you will need to top up the Type B scrubber. This Type B scrubber is to protect our detector from any halogens or acidic gas that might be generated when running high salt samples. To top up the Type B scrubber, unclip the two latches and take out the glass container. Unscrew the black cap and top up the Type B scrubber with 0.05 molar HCl till the max level. You will need to top up the Type B scrubber to max level each time you are running the equipment. So as mentioned previously, the solution inside the scrubber is 0.05 molar HCl. This 0.05 molar HCl bottle can be found in the acid cabinet in the SMTC chemical room. After topping the solution, replace the scrubber as shown. After finishing all the pre-checks, please remember to close the door of the unit. To recap, you need to perform checks on these 8 components before running any analysis. Now, you need to load your samples into the ASI. Please note that the black cover cannot be opened when the status of the equipment is run. You can only load samples when the status displayed is ready or not ready. To open the cover, press on the 2 latches and lift it up. Put your sample into the sample rack and note down the valve positions. For example now, I'm running on 50 and 51. This sample rack can be moved. You should always shake it gently from left to right. You should feel some resistance. This is the correct position of the sample rack. In any case, if the sample rack is free moving like now, this is incorrect. Always check that the sample rack is in the correct position before closing the black cover. Set the correct hardware settings for type of analysis required. If furnace temperature is incorrect, temperature is not high enough to oxidize all nitrogen. Thus, total nitrogen results will be lower than actual values. From the software, go to Instrument, click on HW Settings. Under TOC tab, select the correct settings. If you need total nitrogen analysis, check that TN power is selected and TC furnace is at 720. Otherwise, uncheck TN power and change furnace temperature to 680 degrees. Today I'll be running TN, so I will select TN power at 720 degrees. Click OK. Click Method tab. There are 4 methods available: MPOC TN, MPOC only, TOC TN, and TOC only. Now I will elaborate more on the type and mechanisms of analysis. Total organic carbon (TOC) is calculated from the measurement of total carbon (TC) and inorganic carbon (IC). For TC, sample is injected onto the combustion tube and all carbon in sample is oxidized to CO2. For IC, sample is reacted with 25% phosphoric acid to generate carbon dioxide. As the measurement of IC is via the reaction with an exit, to this equipment, IC is only dissolved carbon dioxide, carbonic acid, carbonates, and bicarbonates ions only. Everything else is considered as TOC. The NDIR detector then measures the amount of CO2 evolved and calculates the concentration of TC or IC based on calibration. TOC is then calculated by subtracting IC from TC. For samples with low TOC concentrations, it is recommended to use the MPOC method. MPOC refers to non-purgeable organic carbon. 2 molar HCl is added to the sample and mixed by sparging or bubbling with air. All IC in sample will react with acid to form carbon dioxide. Sparging will also purge out any volatile organic carbon present. The remaining carbon in solution is defined as MPOC. The solution is then injected onto the combustion tube for the measurement of MPOC. TN refers to total nitrogen and is measured together with TC or MPOC. All nitrogen in sample is oxidized to nitrogen oxide and excited by ozone to form excited NO2. When the excited molecule returns to ground state, it emits light, and amount of light is measured by detector. Click on Required Method and drag into Sample Table. Input your name under Sample Name column and sample name under Sample ID column. Right-click on the row number and use Ctrl+C on the keyboard to copy. Select number of rows needed and paste by pressing Ctrl+V on the keyboard. You can copy, paste, or delete by right-clicking on the row numbers. Note that you need to run 1 milliQ blank before and after all your samples. To adjust dilution factor, double-click on the row required. If manual dilution is done, update the dilution factor into the manual dilution field. For equipment to perform dilution on sample, select the MPOC, TC, or IC tabs. Update dilution factor needed in the auto dilution field for each tab. Click OK. Note that you will need to update each line individually. Otherwise, you can edit one sample first and copy that line onto subsequent lines. When measuring with TOC method, update either the manual dilution factor or auto dilution factor. As TN is measured together with TC on MPOC, there is no auto dilution field to update. Note that you will need to update for both TC and IC as mentioned previously. Click on the birthday cake symbol below the ready status. Update the valve positions into the software. You can either double-click on the diagram on the right or type in the required number under valve columns. Click OK. You can see that the valve positions are updated in the sample table. Check that the status is ready. You can click on Monitor to check on the individual status of the different components: TOC, TN, and ESI. Note that if the black cover on the auto sampler is open, an error message will pop up as shown, and status will be not ready. When the black cover has been replaced properly, the status will go back to ready. When status is ready, click on Start. A new window will pop up. There are 3 options available: keep running, shut down instrument, and sleep. You will need to select the next step for the equipment after it has finished measurement of all queued samples in sample table. For keep running, it means that equipment will be kept at ready state with furnace still heating and air being consumed. For shut down instrument, equipment will proceed to shut down. Furnace will cool down and air is not consumed. Please ignore the option of sleep. Note that the process of shutting down takes 30 minutes. Thus, any attempts to connect software with equipment within this 30 minutes will fail. Always select the second one, shut down instrument, unless you'll be adding extra samples after analysis or someone has informed you not to shut down. Click Start. Now, the status is Run. Wait for the first row to turn pink before leaving the equipment. When the status is Run, no edits to the sample table can be done. Export of data cannot be done too. If you need to add in your samples when the equipment is running analysis, click on Stop. Stop after current sample is completed. Do not click on Stop all processes immediately. Wait for 20 minutes for the current sample to complete analysis and status of equipment returns to ready. To check your data, select Required Row, click on the middle button below the status display. Details of the results will be shown. Check that peak area for each individual injection is more than 5. Check for all individual analysis of MPOC, TC, IC, and TN. Look through your result details by selecting the different rows. Note that peak areas below 5 could be baseline noise, and results are inaccurate. You should rerun the sample at higher concentration. The easiest way to export data is to take a picture of the sample table with your mobile. Otherwise, click on File, ASCII Export, Normal Measurement Data Only. Rename and save your file to your desired directory. Click Save. Please do not save anything on the desktop. The saved document is in TXT file. Copy the contents to an Excel to have them aligned to the correct columns. You can also export data in PDF or XPS format. From File, click Print Preview. Select Sample Table. Check the pages. Click Print. Click OK. Rename and save the file to desired directory. Do not save anything on the desktop. At the end of your runs, remove your sample bulbs. Any sample bulbs found uncollected will be disposed of. You will also need to empty the waste container. Here are some additional notes. Firstly, carryover is observed. Thus, you should always queue sample with low TOC first and higher TOC at the back. Secondly, Always book sufficient time on the CBS for all your samples. Equipment takes about 30 minutes to warm up, and each sample takes about 20 minutes to complete. You will also need to run one blank before and after your samples. Lastly, cross-lab users are not allowed in SMTC beyond working hours. If you are running analysis beyond working hours, please ensure that samples were loaded and queued during working hours.